Hi, in today's video, we will be discussing about the lab diagnosis of cancer. I am Dr. Zubair Hassan, I am Professor of Pathology. Our learning objectives are to describe the effects of tumor on the host, to list the traditional methods available in the diagnosis of cancer, to enlist the modern aids available in the diagnosis of cancer, such as flow cytometry, DNA microarrays, and FISH. There are 5 effects of the tumor on the host, which are the local effects: cancer cachexia, fever, tumor lysis syndrome, and paraneoplastic syndromes. What are the local effects? Any tumor can cause compression of the nearby tissue, mechanical obstruction it can cause tissue destruction, it can cause infarction, ulceration, hemorrhage to the local areas. Next comes cancer cachexia, that means wasting, asthenia, emaciation, anorexia, that is mainly mediated through the effect of cytokines such as interleukin 1, TNF alpha. So we have the image of the founder of Apple, Steve Jobs, and you can see how he lost his weight after being diagnosed with a rare form of pancreatic cancer. Okay, he has lost his weight, and any tumor can cause a fever. Most classical is the fever seen in Hodgkin disease and also osteosarcoma. There is another condition we need to be familiar with, and it's called tumor lysis syndrome. This condition is caused by excessive destruction of a large number of rapidly proliferating tumor cells, seen more often in lymphomas and leukemias than solid tumors. This is because of the large tumor burden, such as Burkitt's lymphoma, in chemotherapy following administration of glucocorticoids, certain hormonal agents. It is characterized by hyperuricemia, hyperkalemia, hyperphosphatemia, and hypocalcemia, all of which result in acidosis and renal failure. The fifth effect of tumor is the paraneoplastic syndromes. Paraneoplastic syndromes are a group of conditions developing in patients with advanced cancer which are neither explained by direct and distant spread of the tumor nor by the usual hormone elaboration by the tissue of origin of the tumor. They are seen in about 10 to 15% of advanced cases. These encompass endocrine diseases, syndromes, neuromuscular syndromes, osseous joint and soft tissue, hematologic syndrome, GI syndrome, renal syndrome, cutaneous syndrome, amyloidosis. Meaning to say, you cannot really explain why these paraneoplastic syndromes are happening, but they occur. Right? It is not the hormone which the tumor normally produces. It is not the local effect. So they are unexplainable. Example: hypercalcemia seen in squamous cell carcinoma of lungs because of parathormone-like protein being secreted. Cushing syndrome seen in small cell carcinoma of lung because of ACTH or ACTH-like substance being emitted. Inappropriate antidiuresis seen in small cell carcinoma of lung because of ADH and atrial natriuretic factor. Hypoglycemia seen in pancreatic islet cell tumors because of insulin or insulin-like substance. Carcinoid syndrome seen in bronchial carcinoids because of serotonin and bradykinin. Polycythemia seen in tumors of kidney, liver, and cerebral hemangioma because of erythropoietin being released. Similarly, neuromuscular syndrome, we have myasthenia gravis, and that happens with thymoma. The possible mechanism is immunologic. Same way, neuromuscular disorders can occur with small cell carcinoma of lung because of immunologic disorder or mechanism. Osseous joint and soft tissue, hypertrophic osteoarthropathy seen in carcinomas of lung. We do not know the mechanism yet. Clubbing of fingers seen in carcinoma of lung. Again, we do not know the mechanism. Hematological syndromes like thrombophlebitis, Strauss phenomena seen in CA, pancreas, GIT, lungs because of hypercoagulability. Non-bacterial thrombotic endocarditis seen in advanced cancers and hypercoagulability because of hypercoagulability. DIC seen in acute myeloid leukemia because of a chronic thrombotic phenomenon. Anemias can occur with thymomas due to an unknown mechanism. Same way, malabsorptions can occur in lymphomas of small bowel because of hypoalbuminemia. Nephrotic syndrome can occur in advanced cancers because of systemic amyloidosis. Cutaneous syndromes like acanthosis nigricans can occur in tumors of the large bowel because of immunologic phenomena. Seborrheic dermatitis can occur in tumors of bowel because of immunologic phenomena. Exfoliative dermatitis can occur in lymphomas again because of immunologic phenomena. Coming to amyloidosis, that can be seen in the primary form and secondary form. In the primary form, it's seen associated with multiple myeloma, immunologic of the AL protein type, secondary in the kidneys of the lymphomas, and solid tumors AA proteins. With this, we come to the second part of the video, which is the pathologic diagnosis of cancer. There are traditional methods and there are modern methods. So the traditional method is the histopathological examination, cytologic methods, histochemistry and cytochemistry. Then we have slightly modern methods like immunohistochemistry, electron microscopy, tumor markers, biochemical assays, and the latest methods of the other modern aids. Histologic methods. So the most traditional method is excised tumor biopsy. We excise the entire tissue, observe it under the light microscopy. With the help of fixative, normally 10% formalin is the preferred fixative seen with the light microscopy. Or if you want to take use of the electron microscopy, you can use glutaraldehyde. We also have other methods such as the unfixed tissue. We can give a rapid diagnosis with the fibrosis section of the cryostat. Enzyme and hormonal analysis can also be done. Coming to cytological methods, we have exfoliative cytology. We can diagnose the pap smears, right, cervical cancer. In fact, the incidence of cervical cancer has reduced because of the exfoliative cytology. Not only for that, we can also use it for scrapes. We can make oral cavity buccal impression smears, right? All that can also be done. Then fine needle aspiration cytology can be done, vacuum aspirated extraction of the tissue. This is involving superficial swellings and deep swellings. Let's say there is a thyroid goiter. So there's a thyroid swelling here, you put the needle in the side, you aspirate the material, spread it onto a slide, and then observe it with the help of stains such as Pappenheim stain, May-Grunwald Jimsa stain. So these are the methods used in cytology for diagnosis of neoplasias. Then we also have older traditional methods for histochemistry and cytochemistry, special stains, right? They are based on identifying the chemical composition of cells, and they are an important tool such as basement membrane, especially in renal biopsies. It plays a very important role to diagnose the different types of glomerulonephritis. So we have the PAS stain, reticulin stain is used to stain the collagen, Van Giesen stain, Masson stripome. Glycogen can be detected by PAS stain with diastase loss, glycoproteins, glycolipids, glycomucin with PAS with diastase persistence, and acid mucin by Alcian blue. Mucin in general can have a combined Alcian blue PAS stain. Coming to the more modern methods, we have the immunohistochemistry. This is by using histochemistry with identifying and targeting the antigens. So it's called immunological method. Recognizes cell by one or more of its specific components in cell membrane, cytoplasm, and nucleus. Identified by fluorescent dyes, fluorochromos, enzyme systems like chromogens. Employs monoclonal antibodies called hybridoma techniques. Specific against antigens, imparts objectivity to tumor diagnosis. There are the intermediate filaments, and there are the criteria like keratins, cytokeratins are used in a wide variety of cancers. Vimentins are used in diagnosing sarcomas, melanomas, lymphomas. Desmin for the myogenic tumors, neurofilament for the neural tumors, glial fibrillary acid proteins for the glial tumors. Coming to electron microscopy, it has a selective role in diagnostic pathology, confirms or substantiating tumor diagnosis. The features appreciated are by the cell junction, their presence and types, cell surfaces, presence of microvilli, cell shapes, shape of the nucleus, and features of the nuclear membrane. It's not very common. Very few centers in India actually perform electron microscopy. Right? It's based on what are the features you appreciate: the nucleoli, cytoplasmic organelles, dense bodies, the cytoplasm, secretory products, melanosomes in melanoma. Coming to tumor markers, these are of quite interest because these are picked up from the blood, right? You do not require a tissue, but one has to remember that they are not very sensitive and neither they are specific. So biochemical assays of products elaborated by the tumor cells in blood or body fluids, other body fluids produced by the normal body cells too. So they reflect the total substance, not by the tumor cells alone. They are used as an adjunct to pathologic diagnosis and not for primary diagnosis. You cannot straight away diagnose carcinoma of prostate just because PSA is elevated. An elevated PSA can also be because of a benign prostatic hyperplasia. But yes, you do get alerted, and when you have findings on the scan, then you do a core biopsy, and using the PSA, you correlate everything. So it does play a role. So which are the tumor markers? You have the cell surface antigens or the oncofetal antigens, cytoplasmic proteins, enzymes, hormones, and cancer antigens. Oncofetal antigens, we have the alpha fetoprotein, which is elevated in hepatocellular carcinoma, non-seminomatous germ cell tumors of testis. CEA in carcinoma of the bowel, pancreas, and breast. So coming to alpha fetoprotein, it's a glycoprotein elaborated from the fetal liver cells, and elevated serum levels are seen in neoplastic conditions like hepatocellular carcinoma and non-seminomatous germ cell tumors of testis. Also seen in non-neoplastic conditions like hepatitis, cirrhosis, toxic liver injury, and pregnancy. Carcinoma embryonic antigen CEA is again another glycoprotein. So it is elaborated from the fetal gut, pancreas, and liver. Elevated levels are seen in carcinoma of the GIT, pancreas, and breast. Also elevated in non-neoplastic conditions like ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, hepatitis, and chronic bronchitis. Coming to tumor markers, so enzymes like prostate acid phosphatase is elaborated or secreted in prostatic carcinoma, neuron-specific enolase in neuroblastomas and port cell carcinoma of lung, LDH in lymphoma and Ewing sarcoma. Other hormones like human chorionic gonadotrophins are seen in trophoblastic tumors, non-seminomatous germ cell tumors, calcitonin in medullary carcinoma of thyroid, catecholamines and BMA in neuroblastoma, pheochromocytoma, ectopic hormone production in paraneoplastic syndromes. Which are the cancer-associated proteins? CA125 for ovary, CA15-3 for breast, CA19-9 for colon, pancreas and breast, CD30, Hodgkin's disease, anaplastic large cell lymphoma, hairy cell leukemia by CD25 and adult T-cell leukemia lymphoma, monoclonal immunoglobulins like multiple myeloma, prostate-specific antigen and prostate carcinomas. Coming to the modern AIDS, I will just be briefly touching upon them. They are a separate topic by itself. We have the flow cytometry, in situ hybridization, molecular diagnostic techniques, and DNA microanalysis. What is flow cytometry? It's a computerized technique wherein you have a single cell suspension of cells which is made to deflect. When there is a light passing through it, the deflection is caught, and then we channelize or gate the population. So advantages, it's done on the blood cells and the bone marrow aspirate and the body fluids, used in the identification of cell surface antigen and DNA content analysis or aneuploidy. Coming to in situ hybridization, it is a nucleic acid sequence localized using nucleic acid probes. It's a modification of fish, and its modification, in fact, is the fluorescent in situ hybridizations, and it's used to detect microdeletions, subtelomere deletions, and alterations of chromosomal numbers, used for study of oncogenes and diagnosis of viral infection. Again, another topic by itself. Other molecular diagnostic techniques are for diagnosing cancer are the DNA analysis by the southern blot technique, RA analysis by the northern blot technique, and the PCR. PCR, of course, everyone is familiar nowadays thanks to the COVID-19 pandemic. So, used in non-neoplastic conditions like infectious and inherited disorders, and neoplastic conditions like hematological and non-hematological findings. Coming to DNA microarray analysis, we can have molecular profiling of tumor by use of gene chips. So this is all the future. Maybe after 20-30 years, we would be living in a completely different era wherein chips just swallowed through the mouth will give you an entire picture of the human body. All that is yet to come. It will surely come in the era of genomic and personalized medicine. So DNA probes are replaced by silicon chip with entire range of genes. To summarize, cancer has effects on the host in terms of local effects and systemic effects mediated through cytokines and other chemicals. Diagnosis of cancer has come a long way from the traditional histopathology to encompassing newer techniques of molecular pathology. Tumor markers, immunohistochemistry, flow cytometry are some of the latest methods of diagnosis of cancer. Thank you for your attention. Please like, subscribe, and share this channel.